of the process. I don't know, have you been maybe drawing some processes in Microsoft Visio?
We use IBM. Dmitry, what do we use?
Enterprise Architect?
We use Visio, we use Blueprint, IBM Blueprint, we use Visage, different.
Yeah, so you have experience in drawing workflows in different solutions, and in our case, this is just we're first thing we are not BPM man solution.
I know.
So this is a very important thing to to start with, but we are trying to use blocks or the elements which are similar to BPM, BPMN. And for the people who are working with that notification, our solution will be quite well, similar to BPMN. Of course, we do not have swim lanes and very specific things, but still, if you design in various tools, you also will find that it's very easy in our case. So what we are doing now, we will draw the logical map of the process. So we'll go and add new states. States as a stages inside of the process in which the process will wait for decision of the users. So like in case of invoice, it would be waiting for approval. In case of leave request, it may be some draft and things like that. So these are like exact stages between we are moving the document or form or things we are working on. So we have a new state, so we can rename it and say, let's rename it as new recruitment request. Okay, we have new recruitment request. Okay. So then, after the step of new recruitment request, where this is a draft, where we can still modify our requirements, our available budget for the person, to which department, and things like that, we can send it for approval of our manager or the board member, which is responsible for our department. So let it be like waiting for board approval. Of course, still this can be changed, modified, and things like that. So after that, when we have our new recruitment request, when we have approval from our board, we can send it, for example, for financial department. So waiting for okay. So now we have our the main path of the process, and we'll connect it with actions. Actions are the moves between the stages which are performed by the users. So if I am the person who submits the new request, new recruitment request form, I can submit it for board approval. So submit for board approval. Of course, you can name it as you want, but from our experience, it's better for end user to see the names which will describe something for them. So they will know that if they click on that action, submit for board approval, they know what to expect from that action, or what will be the outcome of what they are doing. So, okay, we have here, we want to waiting for board approval. We want to send it to send or let it be approved. Okay, approve, and here also let it be approved. And what we'll do now, that we'll just add another action which will be responsible for example, rejection. And from here we can do the same. So as you can see, still this is our graphical designer. It's completely drag and drop. If you want to modify the view, so if you want to rotate it, so to have the start of the process on the top and to go from up to the bottom, it's possible. This is like the blank paper on which you can just draw. So what we'll do now is that we will just save and deploy the workflow. And similar as in SharePoint Designer, it will deploy the workflow straight to the object on which we are designing. So now we were designing on the list, and it will just upload directly to the list. You don't need to code anything. You don't need to work to copy some packages. It's just saved, deployed, and you can just start working with it in a second from the deployment. So we will just go here. I will just copy the URL and go here. Okay, so we have our new hires. So we'll add new item. New IT. Now we have to wait a little bit because the first time when you start workflow, it needs to create some additional columns which will tell more information about the workflow. This is a typical behavior of SharePoint. If you have been creating SharePoint workflows, you have to also wait a little bit because SharePoint was creating the information column about what's happening with the workflow. Is it in progress? Is it completed? Is it completed, or maybe if it encountered some error? I will just refresh my web browser, and we should have our two new columns available on the list. So as you can see, we've created a new item. It is new IT administrator. The recruitment process is in progress, and what it is quite important for us to see that we are in the new recruitment state, new recruitment request. That information is quite important for us because first we can, for example, using SharePoint grouping in the view, we can easily separate all the items and group them in context of state in which we are. So we can see all approved, all rejected, all in waiting for approval and things like that. And additionally, you can just easily see in which stage every process is, even if you are not using the grouping version. About that, what I was saying earlier, that we are trying to name the actions to be as much readable for end user as possible, is that because now when we'll click the drop down, we will see the name of the action which we can perform. So this is also the reason why we should rename the actions to be showing what the user will do in that action. So we know that if I click here, I know that I am submitting that request for board approval, and I'm clicking OK. Now I'll just confirm my form, and it goes. So, as you could see now, we are still in progress, but the state changed. We are now in waiting for board approval. So, this is the complete reflection of what's happening inside of the diagram. So now I can, for example, I didn't rename and still have the new action, so I can use the new action to finish the workflow. We should be finished. And yes, it's completed and in the state finished. So creation of the basic layer of the process is very simple, very easy to do. And what is important, especially for business users, that you don't need to have IT knowledge. You need to have knowledge about creating process and designing them, but you don't need any rocket science to get the information from the process to just start working with the workflow. Okay, so now do you have maybe some questions regarding that designer part, or can we proceed?
No questions.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so next thing, especially from our experience, we know that most of projects are failing because first, they are done wrong, and the second part is that end users do not want to use them. Generally, end users do not want to learn new things, they don't want to learn new systems, and when they are used to old one, this is like the perfect solution for them, and they do not need anything else. So getting out of that assumption, we've tried to prepare the most seamless interface with SharePoint as it is possible for us. So as I showed you earlier, now I will just create new item. Again, I'll let it be DBA admin. So what we are doing now is that first, we are giving you end users options, just extending the available ways of working with SharePoint 2010. So we are just adding new action in the drop-down menu, which is one of the most natural places to find anything related to the item. Also, you can go inside the form, and inside the form you have also the button which holds the same actions, which is also very important because sometimes you want to send an email with the link to the form, and from that form you will be also available to perform that action. And third part is that you can just select the item on the list or on the library, and from the main ribbon of the SharePoint interface, you'll still be able to perform that same action. This is very important because you will not have to spend a lot of time to teach users how to use the new solution, and this is also a huge save of money. And I think that you know that very well, that if you don't need to spend too much time to teach someone new things, they can just start working with it and not spend of time reading tons of manuals.
Yeah.
And this is also one of our experiences, that this is great if user can work from different places and still have this consistent interface using SharePoint interface, which is very important. We do not add some strange forms and change way the SharePoint looks, because end users will not be familiarized with it. They will feel lost and they won't know what to do. And this is for the performing actions and working with the workflows on daily basis. Additionally, we've changed the SharePoint workflow history, and my question is, were you been using the SharePoint history with SharePoint Designer workflows?
Yeah, we do.
So it's not very informative. It's like, okay, you have some tasks, then you need to just click through various stages and to see what happened inside. I don't know, my feeling of that way is, for very simple processes it might be sufficient, but when you're starting to do very complex ones, or much more complex than the basic processes, suddenly it happens to be very cluttered, and you cannot get much of useful information from that. So because of that, we've changed a little bit the history, and when you go inside the inside of the column, we've created visual history of the workflow, so you can easily see what happened inside that process, what happened on every stage of the process. So who started the workflow, when, how long the workflow run at all, how long workflow is staying in a specific state, and who performed any actions on those workflows. And if you have proper permissions, you can see also some additional technical information regarding the activities. So here, maybe it's not very extensive, but when we will go to the completed one, we can see, okay, we have another stage. So, okay, submit for board approval. We have the new action, which should be renamed as rejected. This was our stage when the process was for the longest time. So if we compare that information with various workflow instances, and we will see that, for example, this stage is taking the longest in the process, so maybe there is some problem in organization of work, maybe some I will see the chat, I'm sorry. Okay, for your application, okay, so question from Andrei was, how does your application work with Russian language? I know that we were working on translation, and I think Łukasz will be able to say more about that subject.
Yes, one of our partners, one of our Russian partners, is working right now on the Russian version of Warbox. He is around 80% of the
Progress.
work,
Yeah.
of the progress of the work. So I believe that in a few, let's say, weeks, we are going to be ready with the Russian version.
And
Okay,
also the second question, is it possible to add KPI in workflows? In current release, no, and we know that is sometimes a problem, but we are now preparing the release which will give you the option to work on those values from the database. So, for example, if you would like to create some Power View report, or you would use report services on SQL database, you would be able to prepare some reports just perfectly suiting your needs. If you do not have that possibility, we have our department, we have such team which is specialized in building reports, and before that release with fully working reporting with KPIs, we are able just to prepare some specific reports for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You're welcome. Okay, so now we can see those stages, how much time we've consumed on that, and also this is very quick way to look what happened inside, to check what might be the problem and things like that. What else is quite important is you said that you were working with SharePoint forms, with InfoPath forms. So I assume that you are using SharePoint Server in Enterprise version.
We use standard version. We use Server 2010 standard.
Standard, but because you said that you were using InfoPath forms and they required the forms services.
Yes, but the standard version allows to
the form
use,
server.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I get it. Okay. In our case, it is possible to use InfoPath forms as a form for the for workflow. But in current architecture, it requires not form server, but the InfoPath form services. So the enterprise version. But we are also aware of the problem, and we'll try to work with it, but I do not have it on the next roadmap, so it's not possible to tell in which release it will be corrected. The solution for that is that you can create your own custom ASPX forms. So for example, if you have your own developer team, they can create perfectly suited for your requirements form, which sometimes will be much more efficient than InfoPath. Because if you are working with InfoPath, I don't know, have you encountered some performance problems? Because InfoPath, when you are adding too much data queries and getting too much information, sometimes they are not very efficient way of working. So in our case, you can just add custom form programmed by coder, just upload it to the system, and you can use it. You can use it by your own. Okay. Okay, so now what I would like to show you is how easily you can modify the process, because of course we can go and talk more about the business designing and things like that, but I think one of the most important parts in process management is that organizations are changing. Companies are changing, the processes are strongly updated, and they need to be reflecting the current needs of company. So in our case, we've tried to allow users to be as easiest as possible. So when we have our workflow, and of course we have such route we've deployed, and maybe we do not need the board approval, so we can just remove one action, move it here, and this one we will remove. So we'll remove that state. We can just combine it. Okay, and for example, we'll just add another state, which will be asking for some clarifications. Here we'll be waiting for clarifications, and this is what you cannot do, for example, in SharePoint Designer. This is loop and also way of moving back in the process. So it will be asked for clarifications. Of course, if you would like, we can just move back here. And it will be sent back. So these are like the things which comes naturally when you are designing or when you are thinking with the process. Sometimes, for example, we want to send it back for some corrections. Sometimes we want, I call it negotiate, but it's not negotiations, but just making some clarification about some values provided in documents and things like that. It's just connecting those states with possible transitions, and then just saving and deploying. One more important thing is that we are still working that everyone can do everything here. And from business perspective, this is not the most effective way of workflow, especially if you could imagine a situation that I'm sending request for my leave request for my holiday, and also I can approve it. Maybe not the best idea for organization. So for that, we've created something which we are calling the roles. And roles are just actors of the process. You can think about them as a way of implementing swim lanes in BPMN. So for example, I would create a role, let it be approver. It can be named as you wish, financial department, things like that. We can customize the icon. So let it, because I have limited users here on the site, I will just add one user statically. But of course, you can add users dynamically. So, for example, you want to assign for the role approver your current manager. And this is possible through the process to assign the person who has in user profile services property manager. Okay, so we have our approver, and now we'll assign the role, we'll assign the approver to actions which the approver can perform. So I'll just drag the user. Okay, so approver can ask for clarifications, he can approve, or reject, or send back. Also, author will be available for approving and for answering. So now we'll just save and deploy the workflow. For the importing roles, in which way you are holding? No, because you can fill that. You have to create the roles statically, but then you can fill the data to the roles. So assign users to the roles through the technical layer, which lets you to get the information from SQL database. But for the creation of the roles, you need to just add them statically. Does it
okay, got
answer?
It. Thank you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm sorry. Sometimes I do not see the chat, and I need to just to read it. So if you have question, as I said earlier, you can interrupt me.
Okay.
Voicely.
Okay. Thank you very much. And one more question. And is it possible to import any workflows from other applications like IBM Blueprint or Visage?
No. We are working on our workflow definitions are built upon the XAML file, so like in the SharePoint Designer, but you cannot import the workflow to our solution. We can help with rebuilding the workflows, because sometimes what is the risk of importing is that some solutions are not supporting some things, and sometimes our solution could not support some notifications from some blocks from different systems.
Okay.
And that would be a risk that, for example, you would implement workflow which would be incomplete, and we would not know how to show you what might be the problem. So sometimes it's better to recreate it manually, and then you will exactly know maybe if you can correct something, because in one system it was not available and in our system it will be possible to do it. And this is the way you can work, but there is no direct there is no import function from different system. You can only work from import and export workflows from Workbox.
Okay, thank you very much. And one more question. For example, IBM Blueprint has the feature when you create workflow or business process, you can transform it into responsibilities of each employee, and is it possible to do it in your application?
Could you explain a little bit more, because I think I do not know exactly what.
For example, every business process has different roles, and each role it's a different employee, and this employee has in the process different responsibilities, and these responsibilities put in his how to say, it's like a list of his responsibilities.
So something similar to tasks.
Yeah.
Generally, we are not using the tasks from SharePoint. Because our workflows can be assigned to any list, and on that list, for example, you can create some additional column like assigned to, when you can just filter the view and show all things where you are assigned as the user. Of course, you can create task which will assign them, but because of the way our workflows work with SharePoint, it will be just one-way synchronization, and it would require some additional coding work to get the information back. So what we suggest as the simplest solution is to have, like, for example, column assigned to, and to modify it inside the workflow.
All right. And is it possible to create user manuals based on workflows?
Also, could you tell a little bit more about it?
And each process, each workflow has steps, and on every step, every role should do specific things, like fill some columns or fill some data, and to push any button. And I mean, use a manual how to use this automation on SharePoint.
How workflow, what you would require from the workbox to do user manual, because mostly this is the work of the analyst to create documentation for that. For example, electronic documentation to the process on the SharePoint. So of course, I'm not saying the way which I'm telling is the only and proper one, but from our experience, it rather look like that analyst prepares documentation for end users, instructions and manuals. And for example, it is possible to, if you have such documentation implemented in some list in SharePoint, you can in launch form, for example, prompt the link to that I don't know, section of the documentation, or to URL to this item which holds instruction to that. Of course, you can put some simple instructions here. So because this is customizable through HTML, so you can implement buttons here and things like that.
Okay, user manuals could be integrated into the form.
You can just put the simple instructions, yes, in the form, or just as a link to some document which will hold instructions for proper step of the workflow. Also, on the next release, which will be around November, there will be a change, because now, if you want to run action, you just get the information, okay, recruitment process, submit for board approval. It's clear, but we want to make it also much more user-friendly, and you will be able to add your own icons to to that action. So for example, for approval, you can get the green check mark. So it will be also very much more visible for end users how to run actions.
Mm-hmm. All right. And is it possible to add notifications into the
Yes,
workflows?
of course. Of course, I was going to the technical layer now to tell a little bit more about things like notifications and working with permissions. So now I will go there and just wanted to show the approver what we have changed, and then we'll go to the technical layer.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, so now I'll just add the new item, approver. So what happened here? We are in new recruitment request. As you remember, we've thrown out the board requirement. So now I'll just approve. And now we're in waiting for financial department approval. So just simple changes. Deployment, which is one button click, and we have the new map of the process implemented straight to SharePoint. Okay, so now I want to perform those actions, and I can't. Roles, beside that assigning the person to specific actions, roles mean that we are setting permissions for workflow actions. So now if I will go as a second user, this is user Anna, which has been added to the role. Logging out. As you can see, also we have this is the grouping through the name of the state. So if you have, for example, also approved or rejected, it would show as different groups. But we'll go to new hires now. And now I can see all those actions which were available for the approver role. So we have approve, reject, ask for clarifications, and send back. So it's like it.
Okay. It's great.
So now, what is quite important, because of course we are now talking about the business layer and things you can design as a business user in graphical and easy way. Sometimes it's not enough, because sometimes we would like to modify permissions, edit some metadata on items, add some new items, change permissions, assign people to roles. For that, we have completely separate technical layer, which is also available through the graphical designer, and it requires you to go to name to the specific action, and on the bottom of the box you have activities, and activities window or activity diagram is the place for technical layer of your process. So every activity which is performed by system and not by user, so like setting permissions, creating new items, adding or making some loops, conditions, these are the very mechanical way, which are placed on the computer side and not the user. User just sends some document to approval, and system knows, because of the set of instructions which will be placed here, that it needs to send an email filled with dynamic data, change some permissions, create new items, and things like that. So out of the box, you have various conditions, various activities, which you can place in here. So, for example, we want to send notification. So we just add activity, send an email, and we are editing that activity. For example, we want to send it to approver. So we will go here, and from the workflow data, we have our workflow roles, approver, And to all allowed users from the approver row, we will send that email. Okay, so title, new requirement, new recruitment request. Hello, user, and we are going back to our lookups. And you can, for example, easily go to the current user and say that user which uploaded the document added new recruitment request for position. And here you can also go again, create new lookup from scratch, and for example, the name of the position is the title of the item on which we are working. So we'll go to current item, get the title, and of course you can use all of the columns here. So if there will be some budget for the recruitment, you can take the budget property. If there is some else property, like how long is it a contract or full-time job, it can take also those values and implement it inside the email message. So edit new recruitment request for position current item title, best regards, system administrator. And of course, you can use HTML here, but for our case, it's not required. You could build links inside the email using the dynamic values, so it shows you how it easily can be extended just by getting the information from your SharePoint application. And what is quite important, what we are offering is that you can, if you have proper permissions, you can get information from whole SharePoint application, and without using any scripting languages, any code. You just go inside, create new lookup, and then you are just going through each level of the tree and going deeper and deeper and deeper and finding the items. So you can go down, find proper information, and input it dynamically and directly to your email messages or the form item, you name it. So it's very, very easy for that.
Okay, very good. A question, please. Is it possible to search any
external?
Yeah, and not now you show the list of the list
of level, yes, of the branches.
Yes, yeah, branches. And is it possible to search, because you don't know, sometimes you don't know exactly where is it. For example, name, or for example, position or something like that.
Yes, for that, sometimes, generally you will know in which list you are looking for something. If you are looking for information, the list or library you are able to point from which case you are getting the information, or you can get information related to something. Sorry. For example, I will show you how easily you can, for example, locate many files. Like we would like to send some attachments with our email, and we'll just, for example, use our current list or library, and we will create filter to filter all information related to our workflow. So, for example, if we would like to, if we would have some library called CV, where we would have the CVs of the users, and with the property for which job, who is the requester or the sponsor of the recruitment process. You can put here the filters. So, for example, you want to attach all documents where the property job name will be the same as the title of the current form. So you can easily build quite advanced filters, so created by someone, and you can provide the data here, created between some dates. So, for example, you are not interested in all CVs created like 5 years ago, but you are interested in documents which were created between today and 1 month ago. So for that, we have also functions, because here there is a SharePoint node when you are going through the SharePoint levels. Also, the workflow data, which I showed earlier with the workflow roles. Workflow variables which you can create and use it inside the process. And what is quite important are functions. So you can easily go and, for example, from the date functions, use the date now, and input the function inside the lookup. So you can easily build quite advanced workflows to locate specific information from your SharePoint application.
And I should any item I should pick from the list, or I can type in this row in this yes, in this row. And
in the activity or in the role of the approver. Let me show the example. If I would like to go to approver, and I would like to assign approver dynamically. We have activity add to role, and now we will select that I want to role approver, add a user, and for that I will create new lookup from scratch. It would be from current site collection. We want to find user, and we want to find account of that user, because this is the property which is responsible when you are putting into the SharePoint. It needs to be account, and you want to find, for example, all users which are working in department IT. And of course you can just add those, and job title equals manager, for example.
This attributes from profile, right?
These are attributes not from they will be from profile, but these are from the SharePoint when you don't have profiles installed. So if you have SharePoint without profiles, this is like the basic set of properties. But it will work with user profile services.
It will.
Yes.
In next version?
No. It works.
It works already.
Yeah, it works already. So if you have installed, we do not extend, because workflow properties can have as much properties as user profile services can have as much properties as you want. And this is like the out-of-the-box set of properties which is assigned to SharePoint also in Foundation. Because what is important, that our solution works on all versions of SharePoint 2010, and it doesn't require standard or enterprise. It also works on Foundation, so we were obliged to keep some standards between those 3 versions, and we couldn't put just the nest for the user profile services, because the SharePoint Foundation users would not be able to use it. For that, we have some additional functions. if you want to get some specific property from the user, and I will just show them later.
Okay.
Okay, so I've just deleted earlier the email, so I will just quickly add it to the workflow. It should be faster now. Okay, allowed. New recruitment request. Request. As you can see, I have the list of the lookups which I was using earlier, so I can easily locate the data I've used before. Ask for new position. And it will be current item title. Okay. Without HTML. And of course, as I said, you can attach those documents as attachments. Okay. Just deploy. I will start my Outlook. Of course, you can provide the data through the forms, and then use also the data from forms inside notifications in emails. So it's very helpful. So board member, let it be. Okay, board member. I left it as approve and not a submit. So as you can see, you can simply create notifications using dynamic data from your workflows, and they will be in the context of the current request. So it will use the name of the author or the person which started action. It will use the data from the context of the current item, so like the title, and of course various properties. What is also quite important, is we can easily connect with separate systems, because we know that SharePoint is not the only system in organization. So in our case, out of the box, you can easily connect to SQL database. So as you asked earlier, you can locate people from SQL database. And for that, you need to go to Functions, Data Sources, and here we have the basic set of data functions. So we can query SQL database, where it's quite important. You can also combine static text with dynamic values from the context of the item. For the querying Active Directory, so for getting the information from for the user profiles, you can get the information from here. So you can provide the query for Active Directory to get the specific property of it. And also, which is also quite important, is that you can easily send web service requests. So if you have some different SharePoint application or different SharePoint form and you want to get some information, you can just use the web service request and get the information here. So these functions are covering, I don't know, about 80% of requirements for connectivity services. But if it's not enough, it's not a problem, because we are offering our SDK for free, with which you can create your own connectors, or you can have agreement with us and we can create such connector for you. So this is available for free online, so you just need to download it and install it to your computer with Visual Studio, and your developers can create your own custom functions, and what's also quite important, your own custom activities. So you just need to write them down, and you can connect to almost every system which has .NET API.
Okay. And could you click once again query SQL?
Yes.
Oh, great, thank you. And
So,
should I?
Yes.
Yeah. Should I write code request right here?
Yes, for connection string, you need to provide the connection to data to connect to your SQL database. And for SQL query, you can start right, so select star where, and for example, I don't know, name of the column, let it be like user ID equals, and it will be current username.
Okay, got it.
So you can combine easily the static text and dynamic, and it gives you a lot of possibilities to grab the data and fuel it to your workflow.
Okay, thanks.
No. Sulked. Okay. Okay, so these are like the basic functionalities for Workbox. What is also quite important, because in matters of installation is a very fast process. It's installed as SharePoint feature. So from the business perspective, it's quite important because you can enable it only to the site which requires workflows. It's not like that you install and everyone needs to use it or has possibility to use it. No, you say which sites are able to use of our workflows. So you can easily control it. Also, if you are backing up your databases, you are backing our workflows. We are using SharePoint infrastructure, so you do not need to make another cost of buying additional server for database or things like that. We are using that what SharePoint gives. We are built on SharePoint on the Windows Workflow Foundation, so we are using the SharePoint mechanisms which are available out of the box for developers, and we are transferring them to be understandable for business users and usable for business users, because our mechanisms are available, but up to now you need to have developer to create such workflow for you, and making any changes in hardly coded workflow was not an easy task.
Yeah, and one more question about data connection to data services. And is it possible to only read, or also possible to write to database?
You can also write to database. You can update the database because it uses the SharePoint query, so SQL query. So if you place update and not select, if you have proper permissions, you can do it.
Okay, great.
Okay, so from my point, I think that's all for now. As for the basic, but like very quick presentation. Do you have any additional questions?
Yeah, and am I understand right that your application, your solution allows to automate workflows and to create notifications, to connect to external databases,
systems, and, yes.
Systems, yeah. And what's about forms?
What do you mean by what about forms?
I mean, we should create forms in Infopass and connect to.
If you are thinking about the initiation form, like user fills out the form to start the process, It doesn't matter because we are starting the process from the list or from the content type or things like that. So how you implement the data inside and start the workflow doesn't necessarily mean any problem to us. You can start from InfoPath form or from the SharePoint form or from your custom ASPX form. Generally, it doesn't matter very much. If you want to use InfoPath forms as the forms for our launch action forms. So, for example, if you click to start some action and you want to have InfoPath forms, you need, as I said earlier, for now it is required to have Enterprise Edition to have form services. And then you can use InfoPath forms or use our quick forms, which are also quite comprehensive, and they are giving you a lot of possibilities. Because if you want to build if you do not want to build some logic in the process or getting some very strange controls to the form, our out-of-the-box forms are filling a lot of requirements. For example, if you want to add some person, so we'll create workflow. And in person, you can of course select that it will be single line of text, number, and things like that. Of course, if, for example, if you want to make choice, you can also dynamically fill out the choice options. So you can dynamically select, for example, to which department you want to put in the form. And in person, you can select all multiple selections, only single users, only groups, a member of group, which is also customizable through the lookups. So from the basic out-of-the-box forms, they are also very, very powerful. They are quick and easy to do, but they have a lot of options and possibilities. So sometimes maybe they will be sufficient. And if not, we can help with the custom form through the ASPX.
Okay, and now it's 21 hour past, and do you have more time to continue our conversation?
Yes, I have. If you have more questions, I can also here spend the time with you answering them. It's not a problem for me. So if you have time, we can continue.
Yeah, yes, I have time. Thank you very much. Dmitry, what about you? Okay. Let's continue.
Dmitry also has time, yes.
Okay, very good. And for example, one case, we in the company, every employee orders stationery for himself.
Yeah, office supplements, right?
Yeah, office supplement. Yeah, every month, and we have the list in Excel. The list of these items, and every employee each month should send this list. I mean, filled up list to one person in our company. This person should integrate all these lists and to send it to supplier. And could you explain on this case how your application works?
Of course. It would be very easy because, for example, I will create just new list because I think I can also create a simple version of what you have told me on our foundation site. So let it be purchase orders. And inside of purchase orders, you will create like columns, which will be, I don't know, business cards, and it will be the number. I don't know, pens, some paper. And so on and so on. We can put more of those information here. I'll just change it to number. Sorry, I need to hide it. Okay, yes. So now, when I have my purchase orders, I can select, for example, it will be workbox settings, and it will be purchase. So it even won't use the Excel file in your company. So it would be like, we would create a very simple process when we are filling out the form. If you want, you can add another state to correct it. It will be order placed. Placed. Okay. Next state, it could be order waiting for I don't know, delivery, or just pickup, waiting for pickup from the storage.
Storage inside the company.
Yes, because we've received the order from our provider, and now we have those items in storage, and you can pick it up.
Okay.
So, and it will be like okay, the name of the action would be sign the finish the order. Okay. Action notify about delivery. So just in few words, it will be like the employee fills out the form. We are in the order placed, so the employee waits for the delivery. The person responsible for ordering the stationery runs the action notify about delivery, and it will notify the employee who ordered the stationery that we have your items, and it's waiting for pickup from storage. And then user has to, for example, finish the order, to fill out the form, to prepare some document, and then user will have to fill out the paper version that he picked up the document.
All right.
So we'll just add. We could add now those users, and we'll just deploy it. Okay, we'll go back to the list. So when we have our purchase orders, now I can get, like, I don't know, Mike, and I need 200 business cards, 400 pens, and one paper. I like pens. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay. I will add, I don't know, Tom.
Mike, it means it's
my name,
employee.
Just name of the user, the name of the employee which requests. But of course, I can hide even the title. It's not required. It's required in the default form, but I can turn off it, so I can even put 1, 2, 3, and it will be enough.
Is it possible to assign automatically what user placed order?
Yes, of course. I will show you how. So
Okay.
business cards 100,
Mhm.
pens 500, and paper 1000. So we can go even to make some data sheet view, so it will be faster. I want to fill out those information just to show what will happen next.
Okay.
Okay.
And is it possible to add hyperlink to business cards, to pen, and to paper? And if a user wants to see how it looks,
you can create such form to make some lookup for the, but it would rather require something like info path or things like that, or some custom form, because then you have to implement some logic to get the information from the lookup, for example. In SharePoint out of the box forms, it will not be possible.
Okay.
So now we have our orders placed, and what we can do is that we want to browse and we'll modify this view. So we'll just select that we want to see that created by, and we will see the author of those requests. So then I can, for example, group by month. If I would prepare such a column, so I don't know if it will work. I will just check it. Create column, calculated month, and I want month. Okay, and when we go to purchase orders, so we can see the number of the month, and for example we can modify this view just to be grouped by month or year. So then you can fill, for example, we'll group by month, and of course you could group first by year, then by month, so you could then have all the possibilities, and you want to total it, so you want to sum the values of paper, sum of pens, and sum of business cards.
Okay.
And then you will have such a view. So you know that for month October you need to order 1,400 business cards, but of course with business cards it's a little bit tricky, because then you need to it would rather require some additional workflow just for business cards, because you order them for specific people.
Yeah.
So you need to be careful about it. But with the pens it's normal, with the paper it's also the same. And then if you want to I don't know what happened. I think my SharePoint went a little bit crazy because it doesn't show me anything strange. Okay,
Yes.
we'll just...
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, and it's online version, so I even cannot go to see the logs, but we'll show it as expanded and style totals. But I think you get the idea what we are. Oh, as you can see, so you get the idea what we are getting here. So you can easily, as you can see, you are saying that you are working with Excel file, and you need to rely that every employee will get the notification that it has to be done by someone to some date. In our case, you can create just notification in that process that, hey, you have like 3 days to order the items, and as employee responsible for that system, you don't even need to notify the people about it. You'll just click the action, okay, I have those items, notify all users, and that's it. So
Okay.
it's quite simple.
All right, and is it possible to do notification every month, for example, 1 week before
Yes.
order?
Yes, for that case, we have something which is called self-timer, and self-timer is a way of running action first at specified date and time, which can be calculated dynamically, or after specified time, so which is also be able to calculate that with our mathematical functions, or getting the data out of the form. So for example, if you have form in which you need to provide how many days some user has to approve or review, you can then just go with from the lookups and take the data from the form and say that, for example, the user has X days, where X is the number from the form.
Okay, and could you show once again reports of workflows?
Yes. I think it will be in the leave new forms. The completed will be okay. Yes.
It's on each request. I mean, report on each request, right?
Yes.
Okay, and is it possible to collect all requested in one report?
It will
like
be
on dashboard.
For now, no. It is possible with our custom report add-in for Excel, from which you will get all the information from the history to Excel spreadsheet. But on the next release, the one in November, it will be held in the database. So then you will be able to connect to database to get those information to use it as, for example, spreadsheet or some dashboard in SharePoint.
Okay, or for example, ClickView.
Yes, or Power View in SQL 2012.
Okay. All right. I have no more questions.
Not a problem. If you have any, please contact me or Łukasz. He will send your questions to me. Also,
okay.
I don't know. Maybe Dimitri has some questions. Maybe.
Yes. I have a little question about gateways. How do you use it?
What do you mean by gateways?
In the business process scheme, at the left, gateway. Yes. Upper. Yes.
Gateway.
Decision.
Okay. Yes. Decisions are based on conditions which you apply for actions. As an example, if you would have some purchase approval with price limits, and we would put it here, and we'll connect it to this block and connect it to this block. And for example, we will say that price has to be this is the root for price over 5,000, and approve is the price below 5,000. So decision path, you are setting the conditions which are required to follow the necessary path. So for example, if we'll go, you can set the various conditions also in the dynamic matter. So
it's very good.
So you can, for example, work on the context of current item price. So current item has to be, for example, the current item price has to be lower than or higher than 5,000. And for example, current user department has to be different than information technologies. and it can be fully dynamical for those conditions. So it's also quite powerful tool.
It's very good.
So as I said, we know that we are not BPMN solution, but we are trying to use the mechanisms which you may know from, or which you know from the BPMN or different solutions which are using some business notifications to build those workflows and to let be very familiar to you. So, for example, we do not have block for sub processes like in BPMN, but we have activity for that. So you can just, for example, start workflow, and you can define which workflow on which site or on which list you want to start with some custom parameters. Also, you can launch workflow actions. So, for example, if we have some leave request workflow and we want to recalculate employee's salary, which is on different site and it has different workflow. You can work it through those activities. Or even you can start different workflow on current item. It's just that easy. So, any additional questions?
No, I have no questions.
And would you please how can we install your application? It could be installed on SharePoint server, right?
It's installed on SharePoint web frontend. You need to. What type of? Do you know what type of architecture of SharePoint farm do you have?
We have a server. It's a dedicated server, and we have access to the server through remote desktop connection, and it has VPN tunnel to connect to our.
Okay, but you don't have like two-tier topology because on production environments, first thing is that we advise first to install it on development for testing measures, to not deploy it straight to production, because sometimes you need to check how it will work with your environment. Sometimes SharePoint is not properly configured, and we just would not advise to deploy new solutions. Doesn't matter is it ours or other parties, to install it straight into your production server, because you can have then a lot of troubles. This is my advice. Generally, you have to install it on SharePoint web frontend. In advanced topologies of SharePoint, you have different ways of installing. If you have only one SharePoint server, you will need to install Workbox directly on that one SharePoint server. If you have much more extended topology, then we can contact, for example, with your IT administrators and send the instructions how it should be installed. But it should be just installed on web frontend server. This is the requirement.
Okay, and how did you call their pre-production server?
Web frontend.
Web from frontend.
Yes.
Okay, and all right.
And, because just what I mean by that, because SharePoint is built on architecture that you have application server, which is responsible for working on all the mechanisms of SharePoint, and the web frontend server, which is responsible for your interfaces and for the visualization of the data, because the web frontend is communicating, and you can have both installed on one server, which is quite popular way. And there is also much more complex ways to install workflow because of the backups or the high reliability and things like that.
Okay, and after testing, we can deploy from front end server to production. Yeah?
From the test server. From test server. Yes.
And test server and web front server, is it the same?
Okay, I think I will just rewind back and say it one more to just have a proper communication, because I think I said something wrong. You have first, there is a test environment.
Okay.
On which you should install any third-party solutions and things like that, which is completely, which should be similar to the production, but not on the same machine, right? And both test and production servers will have the web frontend and application server inside. So we have like test farm for, if you have installed your SharePoint, you have your SharePoint machine, which contains web frontend and application server. And test machine, if you'd also install it on one machine, it would also contain both of those not products but parts of SharePoint. So you install it on SharePoint server. And then if you want to, for example, install it on the production, you just install it on the web frontend server of production. But for that, I think if you'd be interested in, if you'd want to install it and you'd require some additional instructions, it would be just best for your IT personnel to contact us, and then we can provide the instructions how to install Workbox, what to check before installation to be sure that everything will work fine, and things like that.
Okay, all right. Got it. No more questions.
And guys, please keep in mind that you can also try our Workbox as a trial version. And it's available on our web page. You just have to register as a new user, and then you can try Workbox for 30 days, as I remember. So that might be useful for you just before placing an order with us.
Okay, thank you very much.
My last question, if you don't mind, are you comparing our solution to any other third-party solution?
Not yet.
Okay.
because Alexei recommended your solution as the best.
Very good. Very good.
On the market.
So don't do it. Don't do this. Keep in mind that Alexei word is it's the best opinion.
Okay, well. Okay, thank you very much. And anyway, could you explain the difference between Nintex or other solutions in few words?
In few words, okay. I will try to be as quickest as possible. First, major difference is the difference between way of designing workflows. Our workflows are far much more readable than Nintex ones, because even they are using, they may use some of the mechanisms we have. It's still not so clear to read and watch the workflow. Also, they have problems with working on different, when you want, for example, to work on different site collection to get some information, you need to start to write scripts. In our case, it's just clicking through the interface and going the information. If you want to create extended filters, when I showed you, like to, for example, get the resumes of potential employees connected to specific recruitment process or some specific purchase order, it's just clicking through some filters. In Nintex, it's not possible. You still will need to create, you'll need to write some additional scripting. So more and more you'll need to go and to click through the IT hardcore team, which will script you some information. Additionally, Nintex installs its own database, and if you want to migrate the workflows, sometimes you might have problems with it. It's not state machine. They mostly use the sequential workflows, and these are like in few words. If you want to some longer presentation, sometimes we have are also around 1 hour long presentation with comparison between us and Nintex. So it takes some time.
Okay, thank you very much.
But of course, there are some specific things that Nintex has and we do not have. But for example, lazy approvals.
Yes. One thing about lazy approval, because Nintex will say that it has lazy approval, and no one else has it. Of course, this is true because lazy approval is trademark name for functionality of Nintex. So we cannot even have lazy approval because it's trademarked, and we would be sued for the copyright infringement. But in our case, you have to treat our solution as like the sandbox in which you can create a lot of different things. And you can build very advanced processes, very complex processes. And we do not have the functionality of lazy approval, but we can recreate it with workflow, with Workbox. So even if we do not have it out of the box like the module lazy approval, we can just create such functionality with our workflows.
All right.
Do you know what lazy approval is?
Actually, no.
Guys.
Sorry?
Hello?
Yeah, hello? Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, right now, yeah.
I'm sorry, but I don't know what lazy approval.
Okay.
It was the mechanism for approving, like for example, if you get email notification to approve or reject some document, you can just approve it or rejecting by writing an email, approve or yes or no. So and we do not have that like activity, but we can recreate it such mechanism with our solution. We can do it because we were deploying that kind of solutions.
Okay, and one more question about migration. How is it possible to migrate server with your installed application to another server?
Really, I don't know about migration of whole server. I know that, for example, if you migrate database of SharePoint web application between servers, the whole definition of the workflows will be available. Because we are sometimes migrating such solutions like that. So, for example, we are building the solution for customer in our environment. We are preparing the database and then copy that content database to customer's database, and it works like that.
All right.
Also, for workflows itself, you can easily just save them on your hard drive and load them on different server.
Okay, and do you have a library or templates for workflows?
No. This is one of the features we are lacking. We know that it's sometimes requirement, but for now, the most important is to prepare proper reporting solution, because we think that it's much more crucial than the templates. Because templates, we can help even recreating or helping customer with building the workflows, but for now our main focus is to finish the reporting module, and then we'll take care about the additional features.
Okay, thank you. And how many users do you have now? It's a question because every when we choose application, we should know we
are you the first customer or not?
We should be sure that this application will not be closed in 1 year.
Okay, our company is working from 2001. Okay. We were closely working with Microsoft, with various Microsoft projects in Poland. With Workbox, we are working since 2008. We have version for 2007. We are still gold partner of Microsoft, and we are preparing version for SharePoint 2013. And about how many customers we have, I think Łukasz will be able to send you some data up to date. We have customers around the world, so I understand your question, but I cannot provide you the numbers because I'm much more on the technical side of the Workbox.
All right.
Yes, and to be answering your question, yes, I have to confirm that we have customers around the world. I'm not sure how many of them are, but I think that it's around 100 or something. And the customers are in US, in Latin America, Europe, in Asia and Pacific, and Arabic countries. So really, I'm not sure if we've sold some. Perhaps yes. I have to find it out if we sold any Workbox license to Russian customer, but I'm almost 90% sure that one of our partners sold it to some customer in Russia. So I have to check it out, and I can come back with the answer to you.
But yeah, last of our customers was the Macau government
in China. Yes, and some other country in Singapore. That was one. That was sold by one of our partners in Asia. So no doubt that we are going to close.
Yeah, we're not planning any closing down.
No.
All right. And who are your customers mostly? Developers or end users or
IT pros and information workers. Sometimes developers, but mostly analysts and information workers.
But you are asking about the structure of the company or sector of the company?
No, I mean for whom is your product? For developers or for IT or for analysts in the company?
From our perspective, our solution gives you the possibility to combine first analysts in organization, because the business layer lets them to use their experience with our solutions to prepare the logic of the process, and then for information workers or IT pros to provide the technical information inside technical layer. Of course, if business analyst has experience with SharePoint, the user will be able to fulfill those activities with lookups, especially if they were working with SharePoint Designer, because our lookups are just more powerful version of what SharePoint Designer lookups lets you to do. So if you have experience with those as a business analyst or information worker with those abilities and proper permissions, you will be able to prepare processes in our solution. And this is our main target. Of course, we are also showing developers that we can help them in their daily work, because like, okay, preparing workflow for developer, it's just time consuming, because mostly they have a lot of different stuff to do, and especially if you want to modify processes, and if you want to modify a hard-coded process, it's just a huge pain. And this can be also the tool for them to ease their job and to make their job faster and more effective.
All right, thank you very much. And one more question. What do you think, how much time could your application save for anyone? I mean,
I give you an example. If
design,
yes,
okay.
One of our customer in the US, they've sent a sample. That's what I wanted to do with you, for example, and that's what we've done during the presentation. One of our customer from US sent to Michael sent an example of the process, and and Michael done this process in around 4 hours. And customer after the presentation says that it takes him around a week to prepare this workflow in a SharePoint Designer, as I remember.
Yeah, it was taking a long time to just map those processes in different solutions, and their final outcome was the same as mine. And it took me around 4 hours of working. I had also one day with sending emails, but because of the time difference, it took a little bit longer. But I was done below 1 day of work to just show the working process, of course without forms and things like that, but also they didn't have their forms, so I think it was a straight win for us.
And please keep in mind that Michael is out of the organization, so he doesn't know what is going on and what kind of workflows exactly are in the organization. So he was doing something like he saw
predicting.
Yeah. So he saw it on the first time on his eyes. So that's how I would like to answer for your question. That it saves a lot of time.
Also, if you are asking for amount of time when workflows are running, it just depends of scale and complexity of the workflow. More complex workflows you will spend less time. Of course, in simple workflows, which you can do also with SharePoint Designer, you will not see a huge difference. But more complexity, more advanced workflows, you will see huge time advantage, first in designing, second implementing, three working, and the one of the most important thing, which I told also at the beginning of the presentation, modifying the workflows. You said that you were working with workflows, and have you modified complex SharePoint Designer workflow?
Yeah, but it's too complicated.
Yes, even to locate the part you want to modify, it's just taking time, because you need to read step after step after step and to find what you are looking for. Here you can see the simple map, and you just see, okay, I need another approval stage. Not a problem. Just go click here, add it to workflow, connect it, add additional conditions, add some notifications, things like, for example, we have sent an email here filled with some values. Great.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to send the same email in different step. Not a problem. I'm just copying it to clipboard, going, and okay, here also I want to use the same activity.
All right.
Deploy it, the same values.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, gentlemen. So if there is no other questions, we'd like to thank you in participating in today's presentation. I hope that we are going to work together.
Me too.
By the way, because Alexei told me that you already switched from SharePoint Online to, let's say, standard SharePoint.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so if you are going to purchase any other solution like Workbox,
Yeah.
like Workbox, when it's gonna happen, if you don't mind?
Workbox?
Yeah. If you decided that Workbox is okay, you are going to purchase it, it's gonna be till the end of this year or next year.
We don't decide yet because we need some more time to test it.
Okay.
I mean to